I do think that women sell themselves short. And we're so quick to blame society and to blame, that if we just point the blame at ourselves and say, okay, what are we doing? What am I doing? I can't say, well, I want to be HOD, but I don't want to become a professor because it's too hard work. I don't want to publish because I have to put myself out there and be critiqued and people might not like me. So, the effort needs to come from you, And whether you're a man or a woman, I think you can make a lot of changes and you shouldn't put obstacles in your own way.
All right, thank you for making time to sit down with me today to have this conversation. I appreciate it a lot. Today I have a phenomenal guest. Her name is Amiena Peck, and she is a professor at the University of the Western Cape. So let's start at the beginning. Please, Amiena, tell me a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you so much, Jacob. So, yes, I'm at UWC and I've been here for many, many years. I am actually going to be 40 next year, but I feel like I'm only 4 years old because 4 years ago I did a neuroscience in mentoring and coaching course, and this is where I first met myself. So your question is, tell me a bit about yourself. I have to tell you, before that I didn't know who I was. I was just walking around, studying, doing whatever, and it was a very selfish life almost, I could say. And then I went on this course and I realized so many things. I'm insecure. I was insecure. I had no clear goals. And I was living a life that I thought other people expected of me. And then at that point, I realized I got to make some changes. And that's why I say I'm basically 4 years old. So I did a lot of exciting things in the last 4 years. I started my own company. I grew at UWC. I met these amazing students and encouraged their growth. And yeah, so if you ask me about myself, I am still growing. And I love being at UWC. There's a lot of opportunities here and a lot of paying it forward. That's what I'm all about.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. So you are also one of 6 children.
Yes.
And you grew up in Athlone, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So please tell me about growing up in Athlone, Cape Town, because you grew up during a very interesting time. You were born during apartheid, but you just missed the full extent of apartheid.
Yes.
So please tell me more about that.
So yes, I was born and raised in Athlone. What did they call it? 7764. Somebody made our area famous. But yes, so that was designated, I believe, for colored people during apartheid. And what happened was in '94, with our first democratic election, I was 11. I was leaving primary school, and so you'd think I didn't have a lot of experience with apartheid, but actually I was raised by my parents. Obviously, my father was an activist. He always said he didn't raise us. He wasn't raising us. He was training us for the world. He was extremely aware of the racial groups, and he didn't want us to buy into it. And so we had to say over and over again, there's no such thing as a colored person. There's no such thing as a colored person. In fact, we had to write it on the walls, and I'm not kidding. So what we learned very early on was that race matters during apartheid, but it shouldn't. And that there was a lot of injustice. So I was raised to believe that there was a war going on. And when my father got very elderly, and way after 1994, he said to us, before there was a physical war with apartheid and segregation. He's like, now it's a mental war. It's like, you gotta believe in yourself. You gotta, don't think somebody's superior to you just because of the color of their skin. So he was quite explicit about that. And so for me, apartheid, I feel like I experienced quite a lot of it, even though I was only 11. But we also had the Trojan Horse Massacre happening right there in our road. So that was traumatic and quite informative, So for me, colored, or rather racial groupings is so laden and can be so painful that I'm very concerned about how we use that labels and things. And I'm very much for hopefully bringing our nation together through other ways. Yeah.
And we'll get into those other ways how we can get and bring the nation together. But let's continue on your journey. So you attended high school. So where did you attend high school, and how did you make that step from attending high school, decide on UWC, and then doing a BA in linguistics?
I wish I could give you the right answer, which was I was a good student and somebody came and told me about UWC and I, applied and then I got in. That's not what happened. I went to Alexander Sinton High and that's where all my siblings went, and it was a good school. I don't know what it's like now, hopefully still is. But I wasn't the best student. I bunked a lot. I didn't care about myself, and I didn't actually have goals. At that time I was really, I'm sorry to say, I was not the model student. That's the truth. And then when it came to matric, I passed, and then I suddenly realized, like most matriculants do, I want to study. And my grades wasn't good enough, so I went for night classes. But I applied, and I applied for anything. I just want to do, and this is something else, so painful to say. My boyfriend was going to high school, the varsity, and I didn't want him to find somebody else besides me. So I decided I'm also going to apply. Sadly, embarrassing. But anyway, that's the truth, okay? And we're having a conversation about honesty. So then I just applied for anything. And I applied for foreign languages. And if I have to tell you the absolute truth, I took a pen and I did this and I closed my eyes and I landed on foreign languages. And then I said, let me do it. And then I got in, and then I went home and I showed my dad, and he said, that's great. And my father was sometimes very critical. So when he said that, I felt so empowered. And I said, if my father is happy, I'm going to do the best job I can. And I got straight A's from straight ones, whatever you call them now. And it's because I was doing something I actually loved. So in high school, I did physics and maths. Didn't need it. I came to university and I excelled. I had scholarships from my second year till my PhD, till postdoc. And I worked my butt off. And I loved it. And I stuck with foreign languages. I got a triple major and I enjoyed myself at university. That's why I stayed at university. But if you had to tell me that 13, 14-year-old girl, I was completely lost. I just wanted to do maths because everybody was doing maths. If you're smart, you do maths. Like, a message to everybody, that's not true. We can do other things. The world needs other kinds of skills. So it wasn't a straightforward, I've always wanted to be a linguist. I didn't know that was what I was going to be. But I would, if I can give advice, just do what you love. And that's what I did.
So you already mentioned that you went all the way to PhD. So what pushed you? And you did it without a break. So why? And really, what pushed you?
I have to say, UWC. I love UWC. When I came here, the green grass and the people are so friendly. People that I knew were so friendly, and I just thought, the environment is good. And my French lecturer was amazing. So I had French, German, and linguistics. And every year I fell in love with what I was studying, and I couldn't leave. I just could not leave. And then I did my honors and I did my masters. And anybody that does a degree, nobody, like Prof Banda, the previous HOD and my previous supervisor, called me out of God knows where to say, come and do honors. And I said to him, I don't know. Again, no goals. Okay, fine. I'll just do whatever. I did honors, and then he said, do masters. And then my colleague said, do PhD. And it never occurred to me that was the road less traveled. It actually didn't occur to me because I was having so much fun and I was enjoying myself. And actually, to be, again, quite honest, my husband went off into the private sector and he told me, Amiena, 9 to 5 is not for you. And I think he was right. And I love just being around students. And if your personality is one that, you love people and interaction and communication, then the idea of sitting and looking at a computer all day would kill my soul. So I really think there were great lecturers here. The environment, this campus is beautiful, and at the end of the day, what I was studying pulled at my heart. I loved it, and before I knew it, I was done with my PhD. So, yeah.
I think you going all the way is a testament of, and you won't say it, but I've noticed it. You work extremely hard. The number of papers you have published over the past decade actually is a testament of their hard work, and they are prolific. So you also touch on those papers on various subjects. So you're not your usual academic that you know that you have this one lane and you stick in that lane. So you're doing things like identity, culture, appropriation, linguistic landscaping. So let's start with what inspires you to write.
Well, when I don't understand something, that really gets me interested in researching it. So with, for example, Skinscapes, which is about the body and how the body is read. It's quite exciting in linguistic landscapes, I hope. And it was actually a pivotal paper for the field. And it really looked at the body as a unit of analysis, but not based on skin color, which is a huge shift in this country where everything is about, the visual, what it looks like. And so I really looked into how people were feeling in their bodies. So like really talking about them, like, why are you doing this? Moving through spaces. And I found that what interests me and what inspires me is that either what is going very, very right in the world or what is going incredibly wrong in the world, And so it's also good to research good things, And so it was actually the xenophobic attacks of 2008 that made me interested in my topic for my PhD. So I wanted to know, I looked at Observatory in Cape Town, and because then I was looking at it, I was like, it's like a melting pot, what's happening here? And I was excited, and that's why I went there. And I started researching interaction and identity work and looking at the landscape, and so that was where my interest came from. But it's always deeply personal, I can't do things, and I've actually told people this, I can't do something because you're funding me. If you're going to fund me, but you want me to do a topic that's dead boring or irrelevant, I'm not going to do it. Because as I've told my students, you have to live off your PhD for 3 years. Don't do it on a topic you don't love, So that's the thing. You got to actually care about what you're doing, and that's what drives me.
I think I'm with you on that particular one, because that was my same journey when I started my PhD. There was funding for other fields in democratic theory, but I wanted to understand why people kill each other, especially in political conflicts, and I wanted to research that. So when the department said, but we didn't have a supervisor, I said, I already have a supervisor. I asked the person because I wanted to sustain myself over those past couple of years, and doing a PhD is a hard journey.
Yeah.
It's not an easy journey.
No, it's not.
It's the mental strain and the psychological strain that you're going to have over 3, 4, 5 years. How long it takes you is going to be hectic. The rejection, the comments, the rereading and rereading. It's sometimes killing your soul inside. Yes. So I identify a lot with you. But I want to pick up on one of your topics in your paper, and it's on the colored identity, and especially the difference between Afrikaans speaking coloreds and English speaking coloreds. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
All right. So, do you think that there is a caste system in the colored community? Do those who speak English regard themselves belonging to a superior class?
Oh, that question is so laden, so many levels. So let me first quote Jonathan Jansen, and he talks about, he almost always wants to remind us that these racial groups are made up, they are fiction. They were made up to separate us and to make us believe that we were either superior or inferior to one another. And I heard him say recently that it is fiction that draws blood, which means that these racial groupings, when we believe them, has tragic consequences. So I agree with him that I do not believe in those groups, but it does play out in society. There's lived experiences of people that identify as colored, or even if they don't identify as colored, and so forth. Okay, so there is that reality. But at the very, very start, I want us all to remember that that was made up. It's not real, and we can choose at any point to stop believing that. So when it comes to whether or not colored people who speak English, whether they feel that they are superior to those who speak Afrikaans, you'd have to ask them. But the data, what I can say is the Afrikaans-speaking colored participants that met me were shocked. They said to me, "You can't be colored. You don't speak Afrikaans." So I don't have an Afrikaans accent, but I do speak Afrikaans, only Kaaps, actually. I don't speak formal Afrikaans. That goes over my head. I can't remember. When I finished high school, I was like, that's enough of formal Afrikaans for me. But I love Kaaps. It's just so much easier, and I love it on my ear. I love listening to it. So I said, I don't even know where that would put me. See what I mean? So what I would say is, if there are colored people that speak English, that feel that they are better than colored people that speak Afrikaans, you need to reflect. Because your superiority is based on a lie that we've been sold. And that is that this matters. Oh my gosh. And our accent, our beautiful accent in this country has been devalued, and it's been hierarchized, and everybody wants to speak like rah, rah, rah. And it's so silly. I mean, when I started doing my YouTube channels and Instagram lives and whatever, I even asked people, do I sound like I normally sound? Because I don't want to sound like I'm putting up an accent, you know what I mean? In any case, the point that I'm trying to make, I guess I'm trying to be very diplomatic and say, I hope that people do not feel that they are better or worse because of the language, their linguistic repertoire. That's so silly, because we can learn each other's languages. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
You recently got promoted.
Yes.
So by now the audience must know that you work extremely hard. So congratulations.
Thank
well
you.
deserved.
Thank
It's a
you.
long journey.
Yeah.
But this long journey, there needs to be something that pushes you. So this is my question. It is for the young people out there and for the young woman out there. What drove you? What pushed you all the way?
Okay. So I have to tell you that the reason why I went for this professorship promotion was not to become a professor. Okay? Honestly, titles mean very little to me. But I realized quite fast on my journey 4 years ago that if I want to make an impact, I can't keep on talking to my first year class as much as I love them. I need to start talking to people that can make changes. And I need to become one of those people that can make changes. And so I needed to take on more responsibility in order to be in the kinds of rooms where hopefully I can bring about change, which will ultimately affect my first year students in years to come. So for me, the professorship, I mean, a lot of people won't understand this, but I do believe that, you know, with this promotion, hopefully I can make a change, you know. So I don't know if I should say this, but I don't believe in staying where I am. If I'm going to be here, I need to start identifying other people to replace me so that there's growth happening all the time. And for that to happen, I can't occupy this space for very long. I want to grow, I want others to grow. And that is super important for me. And then ultimately, I want to make big changes at UWC. That's all I'll say.
All right, so I'm looking forward to those changes.
Thank you.
So this means something. your promotion means something. So, as a mother, what do you think it means to your children, husband, and family? Because what you achieve is no small feat.
I have to say, well, now you're going for the jugular. You know, it's so interesting that you asked that question because my husband said, he told me, do you have any idea how amazing this is for our daughter to see her mother present, leave, go to wherever I'm going, come back and Zoom calls, and she's always seeing me work with papers and all of these things. And he's like, you're setting a great example for your children. And he's so happy about that. And I'm ecstatic, but I have to tell you honestly, that was not the goal initially, but it's a one hell of a good side effect of reaching your goals, is that you can hopefully positively influence others. So another thing was that I think you got to be honest. If you want to grow, your partner also has to be on board. And this is a conversation that I had with other HODs. The whole family gets affected when you grow because you're going to be working more hours, and so you have to have that support at home. So that's a conversation that I had a year ahead of applying for this promotion, honestly. And it's not because I'm good at planning. My husband's good at planning. He was like, let's sit down. Have you thought about the impact of this, blah, blah, blah. And so that was wonderful. And I have to be honest again and say that not everyone's going to be happy for your achievements. Sometimes when you achieve things, other people start looking at themselves and they feel bad because they feel that they haven't lived up to their own potential. And they can spill over on you. And so it's very important on your journey to remember that you're not doing it for these people. You're doing it so you can change the world. And if you have that as your goal, it doesn't matter if so-and-so stops calling or texting you or doesn't want to be around you, even if it's close family. You got to be strong and resilient and determined. And so for me, some people were very happy for me, some people were nonchalant, and I'm like, I don't care. I have a mission, and when I submitted that professorship application, I actually felt my father's hand on my shoulder here, like, good job, Amiena. And if you know anything about me, I don't care about validation. I don't care about people saying that I did a good job, or I don't care. But just in that moment, I felt like I did the right thing. I'm not here in this position so that I can have a good title and impress other people. I don't care about that. I'm here to make a difference. And that is the end goal.
But that's not the only promotion. You got another promotion.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So you also recently appointed as the HOD of the linguistic department. So, and what makes this for me, and I'm honest, for me remarkable, is that you are a woman. So, what do you think it means for others in the department? What does it mean for students on campus and for the broader staff and family on campus?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that really made me smile after I got my promotion was that one of the younger member of staff, female, she came to me and she said, I didn't know that was possible. This, a woman being an HOD, or somebody that she saw, moving up, in the department. She didn't know it was possible. Just like everyone just becomes lecturers and senior lecturers and that's it, And so when I heard that from her, I was like, okay, that's great, because that means you see yourself here. And that means that you're opening up yourself to new possibilities. And so that made me smile. So that really made me happy. And I think I forget sometimes that I'm a woman, so I have to be honest, I really do. People ask me women-centered questions. But I will say that a lot of my amazing students, female students, came to me and were so happy for me that tells me that there is something very important happening here. And even though I was oblivious to it, I think being in this body, being a woman of color, being from Cape Town, Athlone, whatever, also having had a bit of a checkered past, having done drugs and gotten over it, and not to make it flippant or anything, having recovered and having changed my path, I think all of those things are important. And if I can help somebody see that they can also change themselves and also get into positions where they can hopefully make an impact, then great, wonderful. The fact that I'm a woman, thanks for reminding me. I do think that women do amazingly well when they have themselves for their own, when they have their own support, when they are their own support, when they believe in themselves. And women can work together quite well if they are, if they have shared goals. And I don't believe in this nonsense that women can't work together. So I just have to say that's complete crap. I do think that women sell themselves short. And we're so quick to blame society and to blame, that if we just point the blame at ourselves and say, okay, what are we doing? What am I doing? I can't say, well, I want to be HOD, but I don't want to become a professor because it's too hard work. I don't want to publish because I have to put myself out there and be critiqued and people might not like me. So, the effort needs to come from you, And whether you're a man or a woman, I think you can make a lot of changes and you shouldn't put obstacles in your own way. Yeah.
The reason why it stood out for me that you're a woman is that whatever women also try in society, that's the other reality. There's so many obstacles that is put in their way, and simple obstacles. It's like your mother. So sometimes they would not accommodate a mother's schedule in terms of working hours. They won't make it flexible. I think now with COVID-19, it's a much more flexible. So I think women would thrive in environments that it's much more flexible. So sometimes the obstacles is so subtle that people doesn't even notice it. But as a privileged male body in society, I've noticed small things that give me the edge over women and some of my friends who are women. It's like, oh, you see, if they could have just changed it or think it a little bit differently, then it would have been more accommodative. And then it opened up spaces, and then women gets into the rooms and the spaces. So that's the reason why.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and that's a very good argument to make, and I do agree with you. I'm also quite stoic. So for me, when I see an obstacle, I see a stepping stone. For real. I am probably painfully, annoyingly optimistic about life. I can't help that. That's my personality. And for me, I do believe that we should do all these amazing things, but we should be the ones that are pushing that. We should be pushing growth. If we want more flexible hours and times, we should be the ones that's putting that out there into the world, And in fact, because you're a woman, why don't you write about being a woman in academia? That's what I did, And the reality is, I'm always going to be about, let me just tell you this, Jacob. At a conference, an international conference, I was told that, you see, Amiena, you are a black woman, and so you don't have as much power as I do as a white European man. And I looked at him and I said to him, that might be correct at a societal level, macro level, whatever, but in my heart, I will never believe that, and that's why I will succeed. So that's the bottom line for me. Like, I think there's a lot of men and women that point out, like, these are the problems. I'm like, yeah, I had 2 kids. Look, my colleague and I, he's wonderful. I'll mention him by name. Prof Williams is my dear colleague. And him and I, we were studying together and all of those things. We finished our PhD at the same time. But he doesn't have kids. I have 2 kids. And he was the one that told me, I'm going to go for your promotion, you've got all of these things. And then I said to him, I'm not too sure. And he said to me, you had 2 kids. It's like, you did a lot of stuff, so just go in there and let people know who you are. And he's a man. All I'm trying to say is sometimes we sell ourselves short. I hate that. So I would rather put myself out there, work hard, and make space for women that may or may not believe that they can take that place. So.
I agree with you. But people are now experiencing is actually you going through that process that you explained in the beginning, a journey of self-discovery, of finding yourself.
Yeah.
So this positivity is also part of your YouTube channel,
yes.
which is you called Amiena Inspired.
Yes.
And the content there is fantastic, and I would encourage anyone who's listening to go and check it out.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Just go through it. It's a lot of self-help things, and especially if you're working, there's some of those 3 minutes snippets there that will just put you in the right frame of mind while you're sitting there, and you need some motivation. So please check Amiena's channel out. So, Amiena,
yes.
What is next? What is next? What can people look forward to you? What is in the near future for you personally?
Personally, okay. So you may have figured out that growth is huge for me. But when I grow, others around me grow. So that's it's a personality trait probably. So for me, to be very honest, I love to grow here at UWC. I like to, since I'm on the ethics committee, I chair the ethics committee, I would also like to have an African sort of perspective on changing ethics guidelines, and there's so many amazing colleagues in the arts faculty that can contribute to it, so that would be wonderful. But ideally for me, it's using this department to show hopefully what emotional intelligence training can do across all levels, like first year up until postgrads, and nurturing students that really embody the graduate attributes, So we have amazing UWC graduates. I'd like to engage more with them, with our alumni. I'd like to bring them in and let them tell us what we need to know about revitalizing our courses. So for me, professionally, that's what I like to do. I like to grow this department and grow in my own capacity. There's lots of things personally that I would like to do. Skydiving is one of them. As I turn 40 next year. I really believe that we as a nation, once we get over our hang-ups, we can be unstoppable. I want to be part of that amazing group of people that looks for opportunities in the everyday. There's children that's begging by cars every day, and nobody asks where they go to sleep at night. That should be keeping us up. There's so many community programs that we can get involved with, and we should be involved with them. And so on a personal level, I like to grow that side of my life, and then also grow my business. So I also am an emotional intelligence coach. I forgot to mention that at the very beginning. But the point is, growth is it. Grow until you die. And when you die, you'll be put into the ground and you'll let plants grow. So growth is never ending. Keep growing. And that's my message. Yeah.
Amiena, thank you very much. This brings us to the end of our conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is brilliant. So thank you very much for this conversation. And I think this is going to be one of many conversations with you. There is definitely more coming.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.